All right. Hi, I'm Deanna, and I'll be doing Job 2 today. So we'll start with a recap of chapter 1. Job's character was blameless and righteous. He had a large family of 7 sons and 3 daughters. He was a dedicated follower of God, and God gave Satan permission to strike everything Job had, but not to lay a finger on him. He lost all of his family, all of his livestock, and all of his servants. Well, when I say his family, I should say his children, not his wife, to clarify. And Job's response to that was humility, praise to the Lord, and continued dedication. So now we're going to jump into some of the questions around Job 2. So what did Satan want to do to Job after the previous endeavors from chapter 1 did not work?
Renee with the hands up, and Brandon.
Okay, Theo, Renee?
Well, he convinced God to allow him to inflict disease upon Job.
Yes. So Satan basically said a man will give all he has for his own life. So he asked God for the ability to inflict Job. And some of the interpretations, when they're read, it says that the claim is that from Satan that Job didn't turn against God initially after he did those things because Job was afraid that God would strike him personally. That's of course an interpretation, but just thought I would share that as well. And how did Satan, I guess I answered my question already, but how did Satan think Job would respond? Let's see who was listening.
Brandon.
I would say that he thought that Job would curse God at that point because he had nothing else to lose, basically.
Exactly. He surely thought that Job would curse God. It's very difficult when you're going through a lot of painful things in your life not to place blame. And it goes along with that great song that we like to listen to where it's God is not against me, right? What did God set as new boundaries for Satan? So in chapter 1, they talked about don't place a finger on Job. What now was the boundary? Abel?
He will not take his life.
Right. So God said Job could be in Satan's hands. However, Satan must spare Job's life. So he could do other things to him now, but not take his life. And what did Satan actually do to Job? Renee kind of hinted at this when he was given his part. Joel?
He sores from his feet to head.
Yes. He gave Job really painful sores from his feet to his head, like Joel mentioned. And then it talks about how Job took a broken piece of pottery and scraped himself with it as he sat among the ashes. So just thinking about that, like, makes my skin cringe with painfulness when we think like how someone would be able to scrape their skin with hard pottery. Sure, it was causing bleeding and other very painful items. So how did Job's wife want him to respond? I can't see whose hand that is next to TT Jesse's head. Okay, to Ralph.
Yeah, she want his wife want Job to curse God and die.
Yes, Job's wife wanted Job to curse God and die.
Jeez.
And then it talked at the very end about Job's friends that were going to see him. I don't have their names because they were very difficult to say, so we'll just call them Job's friends. But how did they respond when they saw him? To Ralph?
Oh, they when they saw Hope and that, how he was and everything, they were weeping, they were crying, and they were very sad.
Mm-hmm.
And they sat with Job for 7 days and 7 nights.
Correct.
Yeah.
And were they talking a lot or?
Not at all.
No.
Completely silent.
They were very sad.
Yes, it was completely silent. So, and they tore their robes and sprinkled dust on their head as a sign of, I guess, being with him and kind of dealing with that suffering and making themselves humble in that situation.
Yeah.
And so how did Job respond to all of these sores and the pain that was caused and his wife's comments about harming himself? Go ahead, Eddie.
No, Miguel knows.
Oh. Did he raise his hand? I can't see Papi except a shadow of him.
Miguel, prende el micrófono.
Papi,
¿Te recuerdas lo que dijo Job? Que tú leíste en tu texto. Esa es la pregunta. ¿Tú te recuerdas que tú dijiste?
Dijo Job cuando.
Cuando tú leíste la escritura.
Ajá.
Desnudo vine al mundo.
Su escritura del día, papi, la escritura del día.
Sí, que él vino del vientre de una madre y allá volverá.
Jonathan, raising his hand.
go ahead, Jonathan.
He came from.
He told her basically what we're supposed to only praise God in the good times and not in the bad.
Yes. So Job told his wife that she was speaking foolishly and said we can't only accept good from God. Job did still did not sin even with these new sores that crossed his body, and he responded with integrity. I don't think I filled this. I didn't fill this out actually, but it still jives with the first chapter. So we still need to remember that all we have is from God, that Satan has the power to take everything away from us. Even though we believe in God, he can harm what's around us. And so we have to be mindful of that and know that God is not against us and that we should still praise God for all we have. I also want to quickly bring up something that Papi had asked me about before. So in this verse, it says, on another day, the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them to present himself before him. And he was asking about the himself and before him. And so my interpretation of this is that he's still just talking about presenting himself, but others were coming with him, the angels, to the Lord, and they're still presenting, Satan is presenting himself to the Lord. Is that, can you translate that?
Yes,
That's what he was
Papi,
saying.
ella está mencionando la pregunta que usted hizo, que fue una muy buena pregunta, sobre el versículo donde abre el capítulo, que usted le preguntó a ella específicamente cuando habla de que los ángeles se presentaron al frente de él y se pusieron, incluyendo a Satanás, y fueron al frente de Dios.
Sí, la pregunta que yo le hice decía que vinieron entonces los hijos de Dios y se presentaron ante Jehová. Pero si Dios y Jehová es el mismo.
Sí.
Entre ellos, Satanás también.
He's asking that the question was, before you give it, because I think the minister wants to share a point. His specific question was framed this way. It says, because he read it from another variation of the Bible, okay? The Reina Valera, the one that we use the most commonly in Spanish.
Okay,
And he says, therefore came the sons of God, referring to the angels,
right,
and they went in front of
the Lord.
right? Okay, so he was saying like, wait, in here he's trying to present it as two different persons, two separate people, and the minister was going to add something.
Okay, no, Miguel, yes, God is there's only one God. What happened is, I mean, Miguel, Dios es un solo Dios. Lo que pasa es que Jehová es lo opuesto, o Yahvé, y ellos lo invirtieron por Jehová o Yahvé, es el nombre personal de Dios.
Sí, pero esa no es una pregunta que está haciendo.
Esa no es la pregunta, tío.
No, la pregunta que Miguel está haciendo. Miguel, mira qué es lo que pasa.
Dice
Es
que
que muchos títulos, Dios tiene muchos títulos, que los hijos de Dios, porque
se
todo.
presentaron ante Dios.
Sí,
Los ángeles bajaron
es
porque
correcto.
Jehová tenía un encuentro entre los ángeles y vinieron los hijos de Dios para presentarse delante de Jehová.
Claro. Porque toda la creación es de Dios, Miguel. Son los hijos de Dios, son los ángeles, nosotros.
Y Satanás también.
Satanás, antes de poner el nombre Satanás, era el ángel de luz.
Era
Él en 14, sí,
lucero de la mañana.
lucero de la mañana. Entonces, él era un ángel. Recuérdate que antes de que ponerle el nombre Satanás, que significa el que se opone, ¿verdad? o mentiroso,
Engañador.
Belcebú, engañador y todo eso. Él era un ángel, pero él se llevó una tercera parte cuando se armó el conflicto, una tercera parte se llevó, dice la Biblia, con él, para acá, para la tierra. Y estos ángeles están regados. ¿Entendiste bien, Gordo? ¿O no?
Sí, yo lo entiendo, pero ese pedacito es que entiendo que Satanás es uno de los ángeles, fue uno de los ángeles, el predilecto, el más hermoso, y dice que se presentaron ante Jehová los ángeles que vinieron con Dios, pero Satanás estaba en la tierra, que se presentó también, y Jehová le pregunta que de dónde viene. Andaba por la tierra rodeando a ver a quién yo encontraba, a quién tumbar, o a quién convencer, a quién hacerle daño.
Okay.
Él estaba en la tierra, pero lo que vinieron en la multitud que bajaron los ángeles de Dios, Lucifer estaba en la tierra.
Claro.
Y vinieron del cielo.
Claro, entonces, ¿cuál es el problema en esencia que tú tienes? ¿Qué es lo que tú no entiendes?
Es el mismo.
Sí, Dios y Jehová, porque Dios tiene como 50 títulos. El que provee, el poderoso, el que todo lo sabe, el que todo lo puede, el todo misericordioso. Él tiene muchísimos títulos, como se encuentra. Entonces, a veces te va a hablar con el nombre de Jehová, a veces te va a hablar como el misericordioso, dependiendo en qué parte de la Biblia tú lo obras.
Y en la religión de Islam tiene 99 títulos que ellos llaman nombre. Además de Alá, ellos hay 99 títulos en el Santo Corán que se les da, que son los mismos que tenemos en la Biblia.
Okay, Chinese.
I do want to mention something, y si quiero mencionar algo. Cuando yo estaba discutiendo y le estaba respondiendo esta pregunta, esa fue la respuesta que yo le di, lo que usted acaba de mencionar, ministro, exactamente. Específicamente sobre la composición del cielo, la caída de los ángeles, de la misma manera que usted lo acaba de mencionar. Es importante porque estas son de las preguntas que a veces salen, que nosotros nos confundimos, papi, los cristianos. Y esto es parte de lo que pasa en el proceso de traducir diferentes versiones y de la evolución lingüística de las lenguas. Todas las lenguas evolucionan. ¿Usted me entiende? Entonces, en el proceso de traducción o de, digamos, vamos a poner de transición de la misma lengua, digamos, de español a mismo español, pero español antiguo a español moderno, y así sucesivamente. Hay cosas, vamos a poner, que se pasan. Ahora, el ministro siempre nos hace, y por favor, ministro, corrígame si estoy incorrecto, el punto de que nosotros tenemos que descifrar lo que es importante para la salvación, ¿right? De nosotros. Y el punto aquí de recordar es que los ángeles que vinieron alante de Dios, incluyendo Satanás, hasta ellos se tuvieron que someter bajo el específico, bajo la dirección específica que le da Dios. Dice, no, tú no puedes llevarte la vida de él. ¿No me entiendes? Y así sucesivamente. Ese es el mensaje que yo estaba tratando de decirle a papi, que es el punto de salvación para uno llevarse en esto. No sé si estoy incorrecto, ministro, pero...
No, totalmente correcto, eso es así.
Okay, I have to say.
Nosotros tenemos que buscar cada día lo que es que Dios quiere en realidad que nosotros. Es bueno saber y tener este conocimiento, pero ¿qué es la importancia? ¿Cómo se transfiere esto a nosotros? Bueno, lo dijo Diana, que José mantuvo fiel. No importa lo que pasó, y que Satanás, a pesar de que estaba haciendo daño, no le importaba que le tocara la piel, se mantuvo fiel. Y como tú mismo dijiste, que él vino desnudo al mundo, así mismo viniste tú, y se va a ir desnudo. Bendito sea el nombre de Dios. Eso es lo importante, en realidad. Pero es bueno preguntar, porque toda la mente, hay mente que piensa más que otras.
Pues claro, porque uno lee una cosa y otro. Por ejemplo, yo estoy leyendo parte en español, parte en inglés, y el mismo párrafo en inglés dice que otro día vinieron los ángeles por sí mismos a presentarse ante el Señor. Sí. Y Satanás también vino a presentarse con ellos por sí mismo. O sea que los ángeles supuestamente vinieron por sí mismos a presentarse ante el Señor.
Claro, claro.
Lo que esto indica es que los ángeles tienen acceso a Dios y Dios le ha dado el permiso porque se le ha dado a ellos. Claro. Pueden ir a hablar con Dios, y lo que no diga que todavía de acuerdo a que está aquí, todavía Dios y Satanás tienen
Ahora yo tengo una
conversaciones.
pregunta para Miguel y la audiencia. ¿Por qué si Dios es todo lo sabe, por qué le pregunta a Satanás esa pregunta?
The question, let me translate it so Diana understands. Question that the minister now poses for the audience and everything. If God is all powerful and all knowledgeful, right? Why is he posing that question to Satan? Still.
Porque Satanás, cuando se fue de la presencia de Dios, él creyó que se llevó el poder y tenía supuestamente el mismo poder que Dios, pero no es así, porque Dios lo ha puesto en prueba y no ha podido cumplirlo.
No, that's just to God to teach us so that we can learn, so that God put a question that we learn of his power. We learn what he's capable of, so that he teaches. Even though he knows he's omniscient, he knows it all. Still, he put the question so that that Bible can teach us, so that today God revealed that to his prophets, and today we can benefit from this teaching of hope. He suffered and he didn't deny God. That's why God does this question to teach us. Dios hace estas preguntas es para enseñarnos. Dios es omnisciente, él lo sabe todo, pero él hace preguntas para que así nosotros podamos aprender. Por eso que tenemos esta sagrada palabra ahí de la historia de Job, para que nosotros aprendamos de ellas.
Amén.
Porque Dios se lo reveló a sus profetas.
Ok, Diana.
Any other items?
No, you look so beautiful that I almost sing. You are a shining star, and the heavens are the limit. You are a shining star, and the heavens are the limit.
Titi?
I'm glad that you brought up that other interpretation, because when I read this, I thought to myself, well, it would make more sense for him to strike the sores. Like personally, as a mother, there would be nothing more worse in your life than losing your children, even having sores. So I in my mind, when I read this chapter, I'm wondering, why did the sores come first and then the children get wiped out? Because that to me is more devastating. But with your explanation, or the explanation you found out there, that the reason that he didn't curse God after losing the children because he thought he might get struck down makes a lot of sense, to put the plagues, if you will, in this order. So I'm glad you brought that up. That answered a question I had in my mind. And the second point I wanted to bring up is, I really love the way where the friends came over and they didn't say a word. Sometimes when somebody's going through something, you have a really hard time to say how much you feel for them, especially when there's like a death. You don't really know what to say. You don't know what to do. And sometimes just so we all know, being in the presence, just being there, just sitting there, holding somebody, hugging someone, maybe without even words, goes a long way in solidarity.
Yeah, that's good. But then in the future, they're going to change. Let's leave it at that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Very well. Good. So I guess we